We talked about this yesterday, Shafe, and this is, we think, in California going to be really big news, especially coming down the pike here. It's the Fair Pay to Play Act, and we talked about it yesterday. J.D. Wicker is going to help us out with that, athletic director at San Diego State. But here it is, the Fair Pay to Play Act. It was introduced February by state senators Nancy Skinner and Stephen Bradford. It prohibits schools in California from taking away scholarships or eligibility from college athletes for using their notoriety to make money. It allows athletes to hire an agent or an attorney to represent them in business deals without losing the eligibility. Skinner explained that it would not require schools to pay its players, but instead guarantee players the same rights given to Olympic athletes. The law, if passed, would not go into effect until January 23rd. J.D. Wicker is going to help us out with this. J.D., how are you, sir?
I'm doing well today. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. Blinking, it's Thursday already. Goodness gracious. Hey,
Yes.
JD, was there or has there been any inclusion from these politicians towards the universities and the athletic programs that could possibly be affected by the legislation?
We've had the opportunity to talk with various legislators about this. I don't know how much engagement Senator Skinner actually I'm not aware of her reaching out to any institutions to understand this or understand what happens now. So we've done our best to help explain some of the issues that we think are presented by the legislation, as well as the fact that the NCAA has a committee that's been put together that is staff, athletic directors, even student athletes that are starting to talk about NIL and will come out with recommendations in October.
JD, what do you see as some of the potential, unintended consequences if the Fair Pay to Play Act passes and is made law?
Well, the biggest one is this only impacts schools in California, and obviously the NCAA is a body that's made up of schools across all 50 states. So if we have a law that we have to abide by that puts us in conflict with NCAA rules, then it has the ability to jeopardize, our ability to play in championships, and other schools aren't going to want to schedule us if we have a competitive advantage that they don't have. So it has it also has the ability to student athletes could be ruled ineligible because if they take money and it's against an NCAA rule. Just because California says the NCAA can't penalize them, that doesn't mean anything because the NCAA doesn't answer to California.
So, JD, the competitive advantage thing, that's kind of one that we really hit on yesterday. Talk us through that. Why would it be such a competitive advantage for schools to pay athletes? And do you see, and because I really do see the cascading effect of this thing, the spillover effect would be that the schools with the biggest boosters could potentially have the best athletic programs?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that people don't necessarily understand. College athletics is completely different and professional in the sense that I call it, it's a passion play for a donor. So you've got, and I grew up in Mississippi, and you've got, Eupora, Mississippi is a small town, but football's big time there, and you've got the Chevy dealership is owned by a Mississippi State alum, and the insurance agency in town is owned by an Ole Miss alum, and they're competing over who's gonna, get the stud football player in Eupora to represent their institute, represent their company. So there's a lot of unintended consequences, I think. And again, I'm good with us figuring out NIL. I just think there's so many nuances to it and smaller numbers. I mean, I think as you look at the Zion Williamson and folks like that are dealing with large companies, that's one thing. But every college that, has passionate alumni, they're going to be out there trying to leverage to help their school get the best. And it kind of, it becomes the wild, wild west. And it also has the ability to impact, ticket sales, sponsorship donors, people that donate to the scholarship program, and can impact the budget. So it really needs a lot of study.
And would there be any Title IX implications as well, JD? Because the way it's set up now, obviously, for the equal opportunities for male and female student athletes, would those opportunities also present themselves if this law passed and then name and likeness opportunities were given more to male athletes than female athletes? Would that run in contrast to Title IX?
There's certainly the opportunity. I mean, as you look at typically things like that would play out through the courts. And as we've seen through the courts, we've had some interesting rulings as you look at any variety of lawsuits that are out there. But there is the potential that on the Title IX side of things that you could see things go to court and try to adjudicate it that way. So it definitely has the ability to create issues. As you look at the Olympic sports, the softball player versus the football player. And I mean, again, one of the examples that I've heard before is with Texas A&M. Back when Johnny Manziel was there, 3 other guys were drafted before Johnny Manziel was in the NFL draft. But if Johnny's making a whole bunch, more money than his left tackle who was actually drafted ahead of him, what type of issues get created there as well. So there's a lot to study on this that has not been considered at all by the legislative body in the state of California.
JD, what kind of timeline are we talking about on this? From the time it gets passed, it doesn't go into effect until January 23rd. When is it up to get passed?
It looks like it'll end up being early fall. That it would go through. It's in the Assembly right now. It's headed to the Appropriations Committee. We don't see it having any problem getting through that. Then it goes to the full Assembly to vote. It would go back to the Senate because there have been some amendments added. And then if it passed there, it would go to the governor's desk. So that's probably sometime in the fall. And then it gives you till 2023, January of 2023, to figure that out. But the problem is suppose the NCAA comes up with, NIL legislation that gets passed, but it's still in conflict with the state of California, we still run the risk of having student athletes that, could be declared ineligible, or we as schools could be impacted negatively on the ability to schedule or the ability to participate in NCAA championships.
It's quite a situation. It sounds like there's still a lot of work to be figured out, certainly in the state of California and with the NCAA as well moving forward. Again, J.D. Wicker joining us here on Xtra 1360. J.D., I want to move on to some other topics involving San Diego State. I think the last time we spoke, you said you were expecting some new renderings or final renderings with the Sdsu West Stadium project. Do you have an update on the renderings and the project in general?
The project in general continues to move. We've obviously got architect and general contractor working hard. I actually saw a first draft of a rendering today that we're working through. Our hope is that it'll probably be sometime into August before we release that. We're working with Legends on our sales information, and that's all going to roll out in August as well. We've been out, talking with donors and other folks about the philanthropic side of raising money for the stadium as well. So we're making the progress that we want to make. We're still on the timeline that we need to be from strictly the stadium side to get a shovel in the ground, March, April of next year.
How are you guys doing with the fundraising?
The fundraising it's had a nice start. We've had a lot of good conversations. The next couple months are really going to be the when we really get into it, and can start asking as we have renderings and we have our sales plan completely locked in. But there is a lot of enthusiasm for this throughout the community because, again, we're not building just a stadium for San Diego State football. We're building a stadium for the community of San Diego, and we want to touch every person in this community with an event that's important to them. So that's resonating with people. And
a good segue, too, to the return of professional soccer to some extent, right? The USL will be coming to San Diego in either 2020 or 2021. Do you believe that the new SDSU West Stadium will house the USL franchise at some point once the stadium is complete?
Yeah, we've had conversations with Warren right when he got to town, so that's something that we're certainly interested in and looking at. We continue to pursue whatever professional leagues that are out there. The Professional Rugby League, our San Diego team played for the championship this year. That's obviously somebody we want to talk to. So we continue to have conversations with a variety of people, but Warren and the USL crew is certainly someone that if they're up and playing that we'll be looking to hopefully work with them and have them playing in our stadium.
San Diego State Athletic Director J.D. Wicker on Xtra 1360. J.D., where are you guys at with the TV contract?
We're in process right now. CBS and ESPN, our current rights holders, have exclusive windows to work through, so we're working through those windows right now, and hopefully we'll have something settled by the end of this year.
I don't know if you can comment on this. I saw this. The Sports Business Journal reported that the NFL Network has an interest in airing Mountain West football games. Do you know if that's accurate or something that the conference would have interest in, or are we in front of that because of the windows with CBS and ESPN?
We're still in our exclusive windows, and it's, we're interested in whatever is going to bring the best outcome for the Mountain West Conference, and that's a combination of exposure, dollars, the ability to set kick and tip times. So we're looking at each step as we move through it and determining, what's going to be the best for us in the long term.
Football season not too far out. We are getting so excited, looking forward to it. I ran into Rocky Long about 2 weeks ago down in Ocean Beach. So glad to see the ball coach again. How's the offseason gone for him and his staff and the football program, and what are you looking forward to most this fall?
Yeah, we're excited. We, there was an article in the UT Today by Kirk Kinney talking about, some of the newcomers that we can talk about now that they're on campus. We're excited. The biggest thing is going to be, can we stay healthy, which we didn't do last year, which, we had been fortunate. The last couple of years we stayed relatively healthy. And, Nick, as you know, when you're healthy and you have all your pieces there consistently, you're a whole lot better than if you're trying to, just plug different people in different places. So I think that's going to be, the first big key. But you've got Ryan Agnew back. That was one of the benefits of, losing Christian Chapman for a while, was the kid that's going to start this year got a lot of time. Jawan Washington should be in great shape. We've got some depth at running back. Some of the additional pieces we added at the offensive line should make us we'll have some depth now, and again, running a little bit of a different style of offense that I think people will find exciting. And having Brady Hoke back coaching the defensive line, I think adds an element that's really going to help the defense take another step. I think we've always been top 40 in total defense since Rocky's been here. So that's one where they just reload on that side of the ball. So I'm excited. We've got a great schedule, one that allows us to make some early noise and, position ourselves at the end of the year for something special.
JD, on the basketball side, what type of impact could Kawhi's return to Southern California have on Aztecs basketball and its recruiting efforts?
It's great to have him close by. I mean, what a great season for him. It's I'm telling you, Kawhi was picked 15th in the NBA draft. You've got Ty France, who was drafted in the 35th round or something like that. They can't keep him from hitting home runs at AAA, so excited to get him back up. And then Xander Schauffele next week's going for the Open Championship title, a good opportunity there. No one saw him coming on the PGA Tour in his third year. But having Kawhi back, it's going to give us an opportunity to interact with him more, which is something that we want to do, and really, be able to recognize him as the Aztec great that he's been, and also take advantage of all of these other guys that are, having phenomenal years. We're the only Group of 5 school that had a player drafted in the NFL, the NBA, and the Major League Draft this year. So that's something special right there.
Now that he's back, is the school? Do you think you're closer to potentially retiring his number at Viejas? You're talking about him being one of the all-time Aztec greats.
That's a conversation that we're looking forward to having with Kawhi about retiring his jersey, and see what that's all about. But that's some conversations that we're looking forward to having.
Do you have your Clippers season tickets like Shafe does?
I do have those.
He bought 2.
Not quite yet, but I'm sure we'll be looking forward to attending some games up at Staples this year.
JD Wicker, hey, we appreciate your time so much and the insight that you provide. Thank you, and we'll catch up with you down the line.
All right, guys, appreciate the partnership with y'all. Looking forward going into the football season, and go Aztecs.
All
Thanks,
right,
JD.
thank you, JD.